a few years ago, I would overhear my children talking about me. And I have to admit, I was eavesdropping a little, like us moms will do. And I heard one of them ask, "What does mom do? Does she even have a job?" And the other one said, "Well, mom, if it doesn't cost millions and it's never been done before, she's not interested in doing it." I think it was a compliment. You see, I had done a lot of projects. Some had been successful, some had not. But there would be one particular project that would really catch me off guard. And it would be this project that my children, along with the rest of the nation, would have a front row seat to because it got national media coverage. It would start one Sunday morning. Our family was in the middle of sports with our 3 sons playing football and our daughter in her softball season, and my husband coaching. I was working a full-time job and trying to juggle all the things you do when you have an active family involved in athletics. That morning, as we were getting ready to go to church, it would not surprise me that our children were watching ESPN outside the lines, and they were so intrigued about what they saw that they called Carl and I in to watch it with them. "Mom, Dad, come see this." So we watched this story on Barrow, Alaska, the most northern American city. And they were starting a football program because their kids would get into trouble, especially their young men. They had a high suicide rate, high dropout rate out of high school, and they started this football program. It was problematic there in this area, this most northern American settlement. Most significantly, I thought, was that in that area where grass cannot grow, they lined a field with the gravel and used flour for the yard lines to make a football field, and that's where they played. Carl was overseeing installation of a turf football field in our area of sunny North Florida. And I had this thought, if we need that for our youth in Florida, how much more do they need it there, the struggling community trying to start this program? I was in sales at the time, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to put together a portfolio, and I'm going to put photos and testimonies, and I'm going to take it, do a sales pitch to a big sporting company that has lots of money, and surely they would want to fund this. And guess what? It didn't happen like that at all. But what did happen, as people from our community banded together, our families on our football team and within our school, within our community, and we held a press conference on our football field, and we announced to the world that we were going to raise the money for this school 4,000 miles away to get an artificial turf field like ours, and we were going to teach them how to play football. And it was a success. Within 6 months of that press conference, there was a blue and yellow artificial turf field just yards from the Arctic Ocean, and we had taught the team to play football. Well, what would happen next, I was definitely unprepared for. It would gain a lot of attention, and a lot of that attention would come to me. Even though a lot of people have been involved and helped me, the idea that a sports mom and coach's wife from Florida could pull off such a thing really got attention. And I would sit with my family again in front of the television and watch in total silence as I was named the Person of the Week on both ABC and NBC network. We were silent because we had no idea what that was going to bring next. And what it did bring was a lot of exposure. I started getting contacted from people all over. Some of the contact was very encouraging with things that had happened, and they were just, that had sparked other stories, things that were really encouraging. But then there was also a lot of criticism. How could you waste that kind of money on a game of football? I would also have unsolicited products delivered to my home, asking me to promote these products. I would start getting calls from movie producers, and several of them would even fly in to Jacksonville, Florida to meet with me. I was not prepared for a movie. I didn't know anything about the process. But I was very sure on one thing. I knew I wanted the native people of Alaska to be portrayed with the utmost respect and dignity as they deserved. So when I finally found a producer and writers that agreed to that, I would sign a contract with them. And they would explain to me, Cathy, you're going to be the main character. Your character will be the main character in the film. And with the main character, we have to have full access. They would explain to me about the character arc, that it would start out revealing the flaws and the weaknesses, but by the end of the film, it would be redeemed. And they said, we need to talk to the people who helped you with the project, your family and friends. And I want you to know that my loving family and friends stood in line to tell my weaknesses. Yeah, and I had this vision of sitting in a theater, looking at a big screen and seeing this pushy, all-see, sometimes bull in the china shop kind of woman. And I thought, do I really want the world to know that about me? It was terrifying. They would also explain, Cathy, it's a movie, it's entertainment. Even though it's based off of a true story, it is not the true story. It is entertainment. Characters have to be morphed, timelines shifted, points had to be exaggerated. And then the thought of, wow, I have to tell people that helped me with this project that they might not even be included in the film. And that broke my heart. How could I do that? But then something would happen that I thought, okay, this redeems it all. I would get a book contract. And I thought, okay, a book, you can tell the whole story from start to finish. I can include every person by name. I can thank them. It will be the true story. The publishing company would partner me with a seasoned writer to make sure the story flowed. And the first thing I said to the writer that I was partnering with, I said, we need to go to Jacksonville. We need to get everyone in the room and get their timelines and their input. And he said, no, we don't. The contract is with you, not with them. And I said, well, what if I don't remember it correctly? And he said, it doesn't matter. It's from your point of view. Well, I still thought, okay, I think I got this, because I had saved every email, every note, everything that I thought I had together. We worked together tirelessly for days. I had over 60 hours of audio telling the story, the true story that included everyone. Turned it into the publishing company, what I thought was a wonderful script. And they returned it, and about 60% of it was redlined. They said, this is not the story we want. We want to know, what challenges have you overcome in your life? Because how could you ever believe that you could put a football field 4,000 miles away on the frozen tundra? Well, I wasn't prepared to tell those kind of stories. I knew what they were asking, the vulnerability they were going after, the openness that they wanted, and I wasn't prepared to do that. I went to Carl in tears, and I said, honey, they're asking about our personal life, our struggles, the things we've been through. Are you okay with that? And he said, you know, Cathy, it's going to help a lot of people. I'm okay with it. And Carl would be right. I would get interviewed a lot about that book, but away from the cameras, away from the microphones, the person interviewing me would say, you know that part you put in there about your struggles, about the things you overcame in your marriage? Thank you, I needed that. You see, that story, I thought, was about football and about helping a community, and it was about those things. But then it became so much more. We are told that we need to prepare for success and we need to prepare for failure. But what I've learned is that there is something even more important that you need to prepare for. And it's the fact that no matter how many ideas you have and how you think they're in order and how you think they're going to happen, it's just not going to happen like that. You see, those hopes and those dreams and those visions that keep us up at night, we will prepare for. I prepared for that story, for getting those products into a place that had no roads going into it. I mean, I partnered, I did everything that I could do. And it was a success, but I had trouble telling that story, didn't I? I had trouble with a movie, and I'm still having trouble with it because it hasn't made it into fruition yet, and I don't know what's going to happen when it does and the impact it will have. I had trouble with the vulnerability it would take to write a book and share things I had not prepared to share with the world. But that day, I overheard my children talking about me as someone who only likes to do things that cost millions and had never been done before. I almost interrupted them to tell them exactly what I was working on, but it didn't matter. The fact was they could care less about that, but what they were noticing was once again, their mom was willing to step out when she had no idea how the project was going to turn out. You see, we can prepare, and we do. I mean, we prepare ourselves physically, we prepare ourselves mentally, and in many cases, we prepare ourselves financially. But if we wait until we totally feel prepared before we start out on something, we will never start, and it will never come to pass. Your miracle, just like mine, will happen when you are willing to prepare yourself to be unprepared. Thank you.